Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of the Men's Lounge. Of course, it's very excited to be here, and as always, it's great to be here to give you what you always expect on Monday evenings like this. The weekend had a lot of upsets especially in the news of football, and it's not something I want to discuss. But at least a certain red team, went up by some number of goals, and another certain red went down. Anyway, welcome once again to the show. Feel free to join us on all our social media platforms at ETV Ghana on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram at ETV Ghana. You can be part of the show. Today I'm going to announce the WhatsApp numbers very back. That will be when I'm back. So stay with us. I'm going to take my very first break. We'll be back shortly, and I'll introduce my guest. I'll tell you what we have to deliver to you. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we just got into the lounge and we're about to start our discussions. Let me remind you of something that you probably may have forgotten. Every year, the ETV Ghana brings you something we call the Made in Ghana month. And so it happens in September, and we are here. I'm sure you can see me in my beautiful outfit. I'm not going to tell you who made it. See me in Chambers and I'll tell you. I probably will make one for you for free. In fact, the first person to contact me, I'll make one attire for you for free. It's a promise from the Men's Lounge. So ETV Ghana has its Made in Ghana month. This particular week, we are looking at Ghanaian music, specifically high life. Is it something that's giving chance to the Nigerians? Is it something that the Nigerians are taking over? Well, it's not what I'll be discussing today, but I'm going to have my guests probably try singing a song or two. So before I can even do that, let me tell you who they are. I'm in the house or in the studio today with my good friend, Reverend Benny. Benny
Yes,
Akwaba.
sir.
And
Same
that
here.
and that and that one doctor that I always say for him, you let me just keep quiet.
He's a special guy.
Mr. Newman Arthur, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
How is your weekend?
Well,
Which of the teams do you support?
oh, Messi.
So you think Messi is a whole team?
So
Wherever he goes,
wherever he goes, if he retires, I'm done.
you
I
are done
like
with
that.
soccer.
I like that. So you can already see how my beautiful guests here are also dressed in very beautifully made Ghanaian clothes. It's all because ETV Ghana has the Made in Ghana month. Guys, let me just speak your thoughts on this. Ghanaian music, specifically high life. Maybe, you know what? Let's listen to what others have to say before I come to you guys. Let's watch this.
Me dofu pa unyum nebe. Me dofu pa unyum nebe. That's Kwajontri for you. Kwajontri, the music man. Nenyum no no. Actually, Ebinemo can't say Nigerians are copying, Ghanaians are copying Nigerian style of music, but I think the Nigerians are rather copying Ghanaians. Yes, they are rather copying Ghanaians. They fusing our pure high life in their songs, and then they will cover it with their own language. The only thing Ghanaian seems to copy is their style of singing, that Nigerian phonetics, Nigerian language. That is what I think Ghanaians, some of the Ghanaian musicians are copying. But if we say Ghanaians are copying Nigerian song entirely, that one there, I do not agree with that fact. The thing I know and the thing I can see right now is that Nigerians are rather copying our high lifestyle. Most of the Ghanaian songs are pure high life. Nigerians are rather copying Ghanaian high life into they are blending their own language into our high lifestyle. So if you ask me, I think Nigerians are rather copying our Ghanaian style of music.
Jamia yo so jamia mesi abanabe. Ode yo se jamo jamia memo boati. Konongo kaye da. Okay, my main friends here. Lumba the Obianim said the whole world. Ono na the best musician I all we are singing. But a man for can say Ghana for Nigeria. For as a matter of fact, I don't see it that way because history has it that almost king of your friend is Afrobeat. Ye fella kra no oba Ghana ebesua ade oba understudy other musicians were Ghana esua ade which means se wohwe mu pa Afrobeat no kra na omo claim ownership no comes from us because Ghana no be fa no the koye and so say ye hwe mu a Nigeria kra de nka omo nyum pa ye juju music book, 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 and on Nigeria for music. Ghana, they high life. High life near few cynical, guitar near different man, Afrobeat. And it has nothing to do with Nigeria. It's straight from Ghana, as a matter of fact.
The story is Ghanaians are copying Nigerian style of singing. I don't believe it. They were there when Dr. Pabobo broke the grounds over there in Nigeria. In less than 30 minutes in the studio, he brought the whole country down. They come to Ghana to come and learn our style of singing. What we hear today is the Ghanaian trying to speak a little bit of pidgin so that they can add a little bit of Nigerian touch to their music so they can cross boundaries onto their market. But the rhythm is still Ghanaian. The words, the language, the advice, the environment, the settings is all Ghanaian. But the rhythm still remains Ghanaian. It's just the accent, the diction, speaking pidgin. The Ghanaian high life has crossed international boundaries and we are still reigning. So that story, that rhetoric that we are copying Nigerians, I'm sorry. It is neither here nor there.
For me, I think that our local high life music has been lost. People now prefer the hip hop and all that. But those times, songs like Ebusia Padi, and Suachrika, Ebusia Chirika, those songs were very nice and it was touching, it had meaningful, some meaning attached to it. So I think that we should go back and then pick some of the high life tunes and it will really help.
Well, I think it depends. Maybe, look, I must admit that it's not as played on commercial radio as it used to. But you go to TikTok today and there are a lot of people that are using high life music and high life songs to do their TikTok videos. You go out on Friday night and live band is still very massive and a part of our entertainment. What it is that I think that it is not, we don't have a lot more musicians doing a lot more high life now, but it's also understandable that music evolves, and I'm sure it's part of the evolution of high life music. What we need to do is to give high life musicians, the same platform we would give Afrobeat or, rap musicians, But I think that people still do enjoy their high life music.
Right, so this is quite a tough one, but a few years ago, we had most of the Nigerian music dominating so well in Ghana. But I think after some time, the likes of Eugene, the likes of Kiddy, and some other guys actually came up with a different style of high life, okay? And they have taken over. And so you still have a few of the Nigerian tunes, popping up in the country, but not as compared to a few years ago, let's say 5-6 years ago. It has actually minimized drastically. We still have a lot of work to do. The truth is that the original high life tune we know, done by the likes of the Papa Young Saint, Rexoma and the likes, that tune has really vanished. Let me put it that way. But the young guys are sort of refining the high life genre we do now in the country. So what I can say is that we haven't totally lost it to the Nigerians, but just that a lot of work has to be done in order to revive the originality of the high life we used to know years ago. And so that's...
Well, I'm not sure you want to hear my thoughts on that, but let me pick your thoughts, Benny and Doc. Do you remember any high life songs?
I think there's one that when I was in Fansville,
Yeah.
that was many years ago, we used to, I think the school band, I was part of the school band.
Oh, wow.
So I think,
Oh, that's, I think it's from Nat Brew.
Nat Brew, I think it's Nat Brew.
I see. Yeah.
Onte. Gonna be, and that's all.
Oh, why you can't sing? Oh,
Oh, me. Now my voice is gone. I used to sing. I used to play the keyboard.
Oh, really?
But it's been like 10 years since I stopped.
Nice.
Because now I
nice.
speak almost everywhere I go. I'm speaking somewhere.
You should go into law soon. If you speak, because I hear the lawyers talk a lot. Reverend,
Yes, sir.
any particular high life song that you remember so well?
Oh, I think there's a lot.
You are not saying it, though. You sing too.
I think for me, one who Not Brew did a lot, but
Yeah.
for me, the one who really touches home is Jesse Jones.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Jesse Jones and maybe Erama. I forgot her
Erama
full name.
Bedu.
Erama Bedu.
Yeah.
I mean, their storytelling,
Yeah.
came at a time I was in my teens, trying to, so a lot caught home for me there,
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the likes of Irama Bedu, Nat Brew, I think the times of the Balogo year there, that was in the
Yes.
1992,
Yes,
1993 era
yes,
when High
yes.
Life was High Life.
Yes,
Not now that High
yes,
Life is called Hip
yes,
Life or some way,
yes.
somehow.
Not
Anyway,
correct.
not correct. Yes, the combination of Akusia
Akusia
Japan,
Japan,
it
that
was, it
Brew,
was, it
and
was
then
quite an
yes,
interesting
yes,
group.
yes,
But it
yes.
doesn't mean you will not sing, oh,
Oh,
if you are
maybe at
trying
the
to
end.
swim.
At the end.
Anyway, gentlemen, good to see you once again.
Great to have
All right,
you.
so today one of the we are going to look at privacy and secrecy in relationship. Okay, so we want to know how healthy privacy is in a relationship. In fact, how much privacy or secrecy is required in a relationship. What I don't know is whether there's any difference between the two. Is there any difference in the first place?
Well, usually, if you want someone to code, in the code, it should be a pastor. So, Reverend, the code should
Reverend,
be
you want
code
to
first.
let's try to decode. Let's try and decode privacy and secrecy.
The code is
Well, I think yes, there is a difference. Usually, when I'm asked a question like that, I will start humorously by saying that the pronunciation and the spellings.
That's the difference, eh? That's a smart one.
But I think on a more serious note, privacy has to do with being unobserved or doing things so that it is not seen, or you are not being observed. That is privacy. So by the time you do something out of the eyes or the ears of everyone, we say that that's being private.
Okay.
Secrecy is intentionally hiding something.
Okay.
So keeping it hidden to ensure that it doesn't come to light. So for me, that is the fine line between the two.
So there seems to be some deliberate effort when it
Deliberate-
comes to secrecy.
deliberate, exactly.
And for privacy, it's almost unobserved.
Exactly.
Like it's reflex, sort of.
So
Everyone needs some level of privacy.
So there are some things if you want to do, you want to keep it, in a way that it's not in the eye of others.
Okay.
So you will get your privacy by that.
Doc, is it the same thing that a lot of women say they want the me time? I want to have my me time. Is that what the privacy is?
Privacy is probably setting boundaries that keeps you safe and happy and yourself, be yourself. And so we all have, everybody has privacy.
Okay.
That's why we have private parts.
Exactly.
Private parts doesn't mean you are trying to keep it a secret. No, it's just you.
Keeping it
It's
unobserved.
personal.
Exactly.
And everybody needs that. Everybody needs a certain safe zone where they can feel safe. So privacy usually goes with safety. Secrecy usually goes with trust. So when someone trusts you and trusts the outcome, they are able to tell you things that, someone can go and do bad stuff, but they always have someone they can go and talk to. Actually, I did this, So to someone it may be secret, but to another it may not. And if you check carefully, realize that when trust gets to a certain point where you can determine an outcome, people don't keep secrets at all. Because even God has secrets. I think Psalm 25 verse 14 says the secret of the Lord is with those who fear him.
Yeah.
So what it means is that to be able to vouch a certain information usually is built on trust. And trust can get to a point where secrets, regardless of how damaging it is, they can still be what you call be exposed to that person because there's some confidence in the outcome of whatever is shared. So privacy goes with safety. Secrecy goes with trust, usually. And so secrecy also goes with an unpleasant outcome that the person may not want.
Potentially.
Yes. So probably if, for example, when a person knows that the outcome may not be too good, and it's something which is not desirable,
They will want to
then
keep
they
it.
will want to keep it. So secrecy usually has some level of negative connotation to it.
It's more like a test of trust.
No, no, maybe,
To some extent.
yeah, to some
A
extent.
test of trust.
Yes, to some extent. But usually, it can also, when you say secret, everybody has some negative, mindset to it.
Yeah.
That why are you trying to hide it? If there's nothing, why are you hiding
Why are you
it?
hiding it?
So there's something. So some people can hide things not because it is bad, but the person to which that thing should be exposed to may not have what it takes to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to be able to tell that, distinguish that, because even God has secrets. Says the secret of the rest will those who fear him.
Oh,
For
there
the
is even
righteous.
secrets that are not quoted in the Bible.
Yes, there are things
Oh,
that
yeah,
there are
yeah,
things
I
that
mean,
God can show us. Even
course.
the little things. Look at
Yeah.
where we are. People are really confused
Yeah.
about.
Exactly.
So that is virtually, I think.
Well, I mean, you heard Doctor very clear. You saw, or you heard some of his examples. I mean, privacy, private part. It's simple. He's a medical doctor, and so, I mean, he understands, the usage of some of these things really well. And Reverend Benny also, well. So, again, to reiterate, with what you both have said, does it mean that privacy is required in a relationship or marriage? Is it important? Is it needed?
I think to a very large extent, as a human being, there are some elements of privacy that is required in what you do.
Okay.
He mentioned that even God has secrets.
Oh, he does, yes.
One day, the disciples of Jesus heard him talking about his coming, and they asked him, when is it going to be? And he told them that only the Father knows, because he kept it away from everyone. So there are some things that you can keep a secret, and like you said, not necessarily bad. When it comes to the element of privacy, there are some aspects of your living together that would require the essence of being private. Mpanyinfoɔ bu baabi sɛ quiet. Ohunu sɛ ɛyɛ quiet. Nso wura mu a
Edua biara wɔ ne
edua
esi.
biara. So the family is a unit, as you see it. But if you enter it, there are elements of the individuals that makes it a family.
Okay.
So being married and sharing your life together doesn't mean that you should be able to not also have boundaries in certain things. Of course, these must be things that must not be able to go beyond a certain limits, because you're sharing your life with the person, they're supposed to. I think maybe along the line, as we are touching on some of the areas, we'll bring some few things up. But in a quick introduction, as we're taking it, yes, some elements of privacy is needed by an individual, even if they are in a love relationship.
And so you are simply saying that a certain level of privacy is important in any relationship or
Maybe some
marriage.
people will tell you that, some privacy is necessary for your own growth and your own, it's, you share, some time with someone, you share your life with someone, but in that sharing is also, you should also create room for growth. When people are in their comfort zone, they can even give more. When they feel safe, they can give more. We have private lines, we have private, whatever, jets, private cars. Not because we want to hide anything, but we all need some level of safety where we can be comfortable to share. So some people, even some therapists will even tell you that some privacy is even necessary for the person's growth. Because think about it, someone you never knew from anywhere, one day the person meets you and says, I want to walk, the aisle with you, and something begins. It takes a lot. Marriage is a huge risk because you have no idea what the outcome is going to be. If we knew the end from the beginning, it's easy to, say whatever I want to say or do whatever I want to do. So some privacy is actually necessary for your own personal growth, your own development, your own sanity, your own peace of mind, to be able to open up to another person.
So no, I mean,
Yes.
please speak. You're
So
going to say something.
I just wanted to add that it actually also helps in the level of adventure and surprise you bring to the dynamics of the chemistry in that relationship. If everything you are is on the table, to the level that there is nothing else you've got to offer, it doesn't also bring a spark in what you have. So, like you say, it is very necessary that no matter how much you love yourself, there are some things that that element of privacy is required and needed to keep.
So Doc, I mean, I'll come back to you in this regard. How do we find the line between privacy and secrecy?
The line is when whatever is private or secret is going to be damaging on the other person who is in the relationship. So if it wouldn't, and it would rather promote or progress the relationship, then that is safety. So it crosses the line when you know that whatever is in secret or is private is going to damage the other person. You know, I think there was this story about someone who always wanted to, have intimacy with a spouse in the dark. Not knowing there was something down there that the person didn't want the spouse to know. And when the person found out, I think it was even a health risk to the other person. So that is secret. You can't say this is my private. You can't say that.
Although it might be in your private
Yes,
part.
maybe it's but so anything that will cause some damage to the other person, then that is how where we draw the line.
I see. So, I mean, we talk about honesty in marriage and relationships. Now, trying to relate that to privacy and secrecy, does it still allow us to say that privacy is still, to some extent, required in marriage or any relationship, especially when marriage, I mean, as we all understand, requires some huge level of honesty. And if you're not careful, privacy can be seen as otherwise. And so, wanting to be honest against or moving along privacy, how would that work in a relationship?
I think some things are on need to know basis. See, if everything a man hustling out there goes through and come and place on the table or on the lap of the wife, there will be a level of devaluing, depreciating, a level of disrespect, a level of dishonor that will start trickling into your lives as a couple. Men go through a lot and they don't speak about it. It's not because they want to keep it a secret, but that level of privacy also helps to hold up what they have. There are some things when some people know about you, the level of honor and respect they give to you will depreciate. So intentionally, you're not trying to keep it a secret, but you try to keep it private. Yarebi timi bo nipa. We all sit here looking great. But immediately someone discovers that, it's your private life.
Yeah.
But the level of attachment they have for you might diminish. All right? So sometimes in a relationship, and I'm not saying that we are want to keep it from your spouse. No. I'm only using that, hypothetically. That there are some elements of privacy that is required in where you are. As of what you would deem as will be very difficult, because the dynamics that work in one union is different from the other. Now, not being able to share everything totally doesn't mean that I'm trying to hide all that from you. Sometimes by keeping that, you actually protect. And I will pull in a bit from people who work in the secret services. They could live with their spouses for years without disclosing the nature of what they do and the extent to which they do what they do. It's not because they don't love their family, but there is a level of information when your spouse also know that can harm them by nature of what they do. Sometimes you could ask yourself, why is it that the lawyer or the pastor who is in counseling or the professional who is in counseling would be made to sign a code to say that by virtue of your practice, no matter how open, lovely, and affectionate you are with your spouse, this is out of bounds.
Yeah, confidentiality. We say
Confidentiality.
confidentiality. Yeah.
Because yes, it's information I know. Personally, as a pastor, I have chats with my wife, I have conversation. I have a lot of counseling sessions. Sometimes I could be on the phone. Immediately the conversation switches and we are all there. I need to wake up. It doesn't mean that I'm having some private conversation. No. Sometimes when someone is sitting next to you and you're having chats, people can eardrop so that you don't expose the nature of the conversation because you are also protecting the person on the other side. It becomes very important that in your dealings, there must be an element of privacy that you keep. It doesn't mean you are being dishonest.
So honesty is in a certain context. When it comes to between you and the person, what you share together, you have to be honest about
Exactly.
it. But when it comes to other things that can even harm the relationship or has nothing to do with the relationship, that is when it's not that you are being dishonest, but you're keeping someone else's information away from that relationship. I'm a medical doctor. I hear things, but I wouldn't go home and go mention names and say this and that to my wife. No. And the fact that I don't do that doesn't mean that, what do you call it? I am dishonest or that kind of thing, Or if you are, and it also depends on the level of relationship you have with the person. Some people feel that they should have access to you and everything about you because they have a certain level of relationship
With you.
And you have to be you also have to put that in a certain level of context. But so for every relationship, the extent to which you want to go with a person, sometimes you even have to make it known at the beginning so that everybody is aware. You can keep something on your phone. Okay, your phone can be private but not secret. You can have your phone is your privacy, but it can also not be secret. You understand?
About that, because I know those who will be very interested in knowing what it is that is private and not secret. Anyway, let's go for this break. When we're back, we'll continue the discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back if you're just joining us. I'm still here with Reverend Benny and Dr. Isaac Newman Arthur, and we are discussing the issue of privacy. How much privacy is needed in a relationship or marriage? Before we left off, we were talking about honesty. Now, is there a point where we should be honest, and at what point should we withhold information from our partners?
Okay, so I think there are three things I'll mention. One, honesty is required when whatever information that must be communicated to the other person would help fix a problem. Because that would help the relationship or marriage progress significantly. Two, when you realize that it's going to harm the other person and that by exposing that kind of information, it is going to bring some kind of safety and progress for that person. Then three, when you realize that the situation or the condition is good enough to be able to handle that kind of information. Sometimes, for example, if something happens in some relationship, to disclose that information. Sometimes some people even, advise that you expose or you communicate that information in the presence of someone else who can help, solve that problem. So sometimes even the situation or the condition under which you talk about that information is important. For example, so I tell people that do not give sensitive information to anybody on a certain event date. So for example, a birthday, Christmas, Easter, those events, because that would become something. Any time that event comes up, it creates an unpleasant, situation for the person. So the fact that you want to be honest doesn't mean that you shouldn't be wise about how you go about that honesty. And sometimes to be able to do that, you even have to, if you depend on the gravity of the situation, maybe you have to seek counsel as to how to go about it. A lot of relationship break up not because of what happened, but how they went about it, how it was handled. If it was handled in another way, things wouldn't have gone the way it went. So sometimes you just have to know. And there are some people even with that temperament, they're phlegmatics. When something happens, they wait until the condition is right. They would even evaluate the whole thing before they speak about it, so that some people even do it in public, and things like that. It doesn't, and when you realize that, even how you're doing it, for example, someone can come and stand in front of maybe their church, or come and stand in front of their company or something and say something, or even on radio or social media. I think something happened to one of the journalists, recently, where he was all over the country, and he talked about his past marriage and all that. And I was asking myself, do we need this? We don't even need it.
You should be trying to
Yes.
justify
Yes,
yourself.
yes. We don't need. How does it help?
Yeah.
So sometimes even the conditions around which it's even more important than the honesty itself. Because if you don't do it right, a good intention may end into something else. So I think these three things for me is very critical, so that you can be able to save or protect a certain kind of relationship.
Well, Benny, before I come to you, the WhatsApp lines are open. Please send your messages to 02022222054. Let's hear your thoughts on the issue of privacy and secrecy in relationship and marriage. Benny,
Yep.
so honesty against withholding some information. At what point do we need that?
Phew. I think Doc mentioned a couple of things.
You mentioned three things.
So that just to steer away from, maybe let me come from a different angle. There are things that I think shouldn't be kept as a secret.
Things like what?
Today, a lot of banks are making a lot of money for free because a lot of men keep so much secrecy of their investments and hard-earned money, which are never disclosed to their spouses. Millions, in fact, billions, that are yearly taken for free by the banks because you feel you should keep this away from, I'm not sure who, someone else enjoys it for free. The reason why I'm holding a couple of things back, maybe a bit, is while talking, I'm also trying to navigate how not to say too much. So, but
just feel free and say them. Issue disclaimer in there.
you see, it's not that simple. It's see, in as much as we're talking about being honest, some people feel they need to protect their investments, but also their family. Because sometimes someone could be in a relationship with a partner who might not have the brakes on themselves to be, frugal. So they are very spendacious. They do a lot of things, impulse. Because of that, they feel if I open the level of access and resources to them, they might not be able to handle. So they keep a lot away. The question is, to what extent? How much of that should happen? And how can you manage? Because as we speak, you will find someone who has worked all his life trying to build a beautiful life for his family. And unfortunately, death does not announce its entrance, and he's gone. In his mind, I'm keeping this for my family. But the people you are keeping it to have no idea, no access. So by the time you're gone, no one makes a claim and someone walks away for free.
Okay.
And this has been one of the big challenges, that someone that's done so much, done so well in life, they are gone, and in just 2 months, their wife and kids are on the street. They are knocking people's and banging doors trying to find help.
A lot of people even think it's family, extended family
Exactly, but
issues that.
sometimes it's not. So this conversation, I think, is something that's a bit critical to have. And it's not a straight jacket conversation to say it's black and white.
Yeah.
This must be, privacy, this must be secrecy, and this must be held in this level. I think there's a lot of sensitivity to the issue that is at play, considering the gravity of what needs to be addressed. You cannot have the same frame working for everyone.
Okay.
But it's ideal and critical that if you are in a relationship, you should be mindful how the role players in that relationship matter. Hence, the things you can't be able to have the confidence to share. And you can trust they will be able to handle. And the things you would not be. Some people will do so much and hide it away from the family until they are ready, because they know that exposing this level of information can be able to impact and affect their behavior and how they go about their things. So I think, honestly, yes, have a level of privacy, but also plan that while you keep some things private, there should be that in the event you are no more, your family is also not deprived from some of the things that they can have access to.
I've been gathering from both of you. I see that we are all looking at creating very healthy privacy. That is, if we want to have some, there should be some healthy. So, can you take us through how you build that healthy privacy in a relationship? How do you start it? How do you, from the word go, work towards achieving that?
The first point is that you need to be able to determine the level of relationship you have with a person. Personally, I think that if you're just dating someone, you just don't go ahead and say too much. Some people, until there is a commitment that is recognized, you have no business talking to the person about everything. Now I think in this generation, dating is marriage. So those who are dating think they should have access.
Earned the right.
They've earned the right into it. It's just not right until there is some level of commitment, and especially marital commitment between two people. You won't, because today, for example, I think there was someone who was talking about the fact that I think she met someone just about a year or something, and it's more like dating, those kind of dating, which is almost like marriage. And just after 6 months, some beating and stuff has started. So she has to walk out. And so think about this person. If you had gone all
out
length,
to
it's
share
Giving all information,
so
yeah.
people would have to be very, very cautious,
It makes it
especially
even
around this
dangerous,
time.
yeah.
Now you have teenagers dating, 20-year-olds dating, and they're doing all kinds of things, and they think that they
They've
should have
arrived,
access to
yeah.
everybody. And when they say, oh, he cheated on me or she cheated on me, I'm wondering what they're even talking about. Those discussions should even come up at that time. So first of all, you need to be able to determine the level of relationship with the person. 2, you build, you're able to build privacy when you know that whatever, safety you want to build around yourself is not going to affect the other person negatively. What it means is that you may not have private time when that private time is going to have significant impact on the marriage. You may not have private conversations when that conversation is
Can
going to
hurt.
have is going to have some negative impact on the other person. So you build your privacy having that person in mind and that person's safety in mind. Because when you don't build it, that it becomes a wall. Some will say my safety net, my safety wall. The moment you build a certain wall, it actually hurts the relationship
Yeah.
unnecessarily. So whatever walls or safety, comfort zone, I think there are some terms people use. My space. This is my space. The moment you build a certain space that does not progress the marriage or relationship, then you are creating problems for the relationship.
Well-
Then finally, probably I'll add that we should be able to, what do you call it? Anything that will build ourselves, our own development for the other person, I think is safe enough.
Okay, I mean you've heard it all from Dr. Isaac Newman. We're going to go for our very last break. When we are back, the phone lines will also be open. You can call and share your thoughts or comments on this discussion. Please stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are sitting in the lounge discussing the level of privacy and secrecy. That is, if there's a need for even secrecy at all in any healthy relationship. The phone lines are open now. The number to call is 0555 I repeat, 0555 Doc, so burdening yourself with secrets and should I say being too private, thereby building those walls as you left off with, does it affect us psychologically in any way?
So the one, it's exhausting, because usually when, especially things that are bad are in secret, it takes a lot of effort to keep it hidden. So it is mentally exhausting for the person who
It's
is
a lot of
involved.
work, eh?
It's a lot of work, Then secondly, it doesn't give you the emotional availability for the other person, because that creates some gap, in a relationship for the
Yeah.
person. So if you're not careful, before you realize you're drifting and drifting gradually from the person, and it may just be because there are things that the person doesn't know. Three, it prevents trust for the other person. So if you're keeping something away from someone, it's not just the other person who may lose trust for you. You put that loss of trust on the other person, because you may assume that the person is also keeping
Doing same, yeah.
doing same, and so that also affects the relationship significantly. Then also, you kind of have some negative perceptions about life, that you think, sometimes people think that all men are the same, all girls are the same, all women, that kind of mindset, it's very, very negative, and people actually project their own mistakes on others, and that can really, really affect them, their own
Yeah.
interaction with other people.
Yeah.
Because you may lose trust in other people because you think they don't trust you based on what you don't have for yourself. And that can really, really be, mentally exhausting for the person. Then probably I would add that you tend not to be happy with things that you should be happy about. If everything was okay between the two of you, the kind of joy and happiness that can even protect your own mental health may not be there.
That's correct.
It takes a lot, to maintain a certain relationship like that. So that helps.
I see. Reverend,
Yes, sir.
I'm coming to your favorite space, social media.
I'm not sure it's my favorite. but
One of your favorite spaces. So, you know how people put everything about their life, how they feel, their emotions, everything out there on social media. I even some married people do that. How is that in relation to privacy, secrecy, and then in a relationship? First of all, I want your very candid opinion on that.
the truth is, I don't want to filter with my personal values. There are a lot of things to be wrong.
Yeah,
But people have a lot of objectives for doing the things they do.
they do. Okay.
The Kardashians made millions because they put their lives out there. Other people are trying to do same. Some two ladies showed up in an event in an almost naked
Oh, yeah. I saw that trend in this
because
weekend a lot.
they want to achieve something. See, so when people start putting their lives out there, they have an objective. There's an agenda that they're seeking to achieve. Someone intentionally talks a certain way, like the conversation we're having. In case we have an agenda, there are vocabularies, statements, words we could throw here,
Yeah.
and it will catch people's attention because the audience are, they have this euphoria building around a certain way of talking. So I've heard someone who calls himself a counselor would go on radio and TV and speak anyhow, talk about anything with no decorum because he wants to gain attention. So the important thing, that's why I said that I cannot use my objective to filter. Either than that, then a lot will fall. But people have agenda. And when they are trying to work on that agenda, they will do whatever it takes. The advice, however, is that you must be mindful what you put out there. Because like they say, social media does not forget. Not just social media, but all sorts of media does not forget. Today, it's in the public space. We're talking about someone in Galamsey being rearrested because the senior minister said something years ago, and they pulled the file of the president saying something that same year, contradicting one another. Now, they are pegging the issues against one. You might post a picture out there innocently, but you have no idea what it might play out. A friend of mine commented on something someone said and went very harsh. When I saw the post, I called him immediately and said that if you may kindly accept, please pull it off. Because you see, you never know when this will come up. And you never know who can use this against you. Someone got married recently, and they went back to pull her files of videos of her saying the things about the kind of man she want to get married to,
And comparing it to who she's
comparing
married.
it to who she's married to today. And they made a fuss about
Yeah.
it. She can get away with it because she's a social media person.
Yeah.
But think of your career. You might not be a slave queen or someone who's trying to do entertainment. You might be someone who's pursuing a career in a certain space. Think of what and how it can affect what you are doing and what you intend to achieve. And this is, for me, the things that people should really be paying attention to. So, depending on your objective, please, by all means, knock yourself out.
Well, unfortunately, I wish I could pick last few words from you again, but time will not permit me to do that. Maybe, okay, 10 seconds each, Doc. I know the counselor he was talking about, too. I'll tell you, but 10 seconds from you, Doc.
Well, I think that we need to be able to be open about many things.
Yeah.
But in that openness, you need to be careful so that it does not destroy what you're trying to build.
Okay. Reverend.
Someone told the wife and the mom, getting, that I'm giving you this. The day I do something that hurts you, break it, I will die. Offended the wife, she went after it, broke it, and then said, Sewekumi. And then the wife said, yes, so that you will die and then I'll be free. But it was only a test that the woman failed. Sometimes some secrets some people know can harm you. Sometimes they can use it to protect you. I would say let the Holy Spirit guide you in your decisions, especially when it comes to issues that pertains to life, because you never know when you will be exposed.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Reverend. It's always good to have these two people here because they speak very, very deep things that you and I would easily understand, but we can also relate to. Thank you so much for being part of our evening. Thank you for all of you. Just thank you is enough. We'll see you next week with another exciting episode. Please stay safe. There's a lot of things going out there. The dollar has started dropping. Have you noticed that? Yes. Let's hope it keeps, having a nosedive. It has to go down further. It's one thing that's very important. So we'll see you next week. Please stay safe.